Hey everybody, today I'm going to be showing you some of the witchy thrift finds I've found over the years. So one of the first things that's really easy to find at thrift stores are these little dishes. So I found this one that has some flowers on it. It's really beautiful. I love that. I like to put my rings in it on my side table. I found this one that has stars on it and a little sunshine on the bottom. This beautiful handmade green ceramic one, and this like silver plated one, and there's even a weld on this, which I think is really interesting. It's cool that somebody's cared so much about this bowl enough to repair it where it's needed it. Anyway, so those are really fun to pick up. I use this one for smoke cleansing, so it's a really good size to catch all of the ashes that come off of your herb bundles. So this is kind of related to bowls, but these are like little trays. This one's kind of a lotus shape, which is nice when working with one of the chakra energies. And this one's just kind of royal looking. I've used it to burn essential oil mixes on top of it and put a little candle underneath it. Not super safe, but it worked. But I've also found these, which are little smoke, I guess incense burners. This one's really cool. It's got like this little dog on the top. It's kind of weird, but I love it. It's got dragons all embroidered, or not embroidered, oh gosh, I'm a sewer, aren't I? Engraved on the side of it there. So that's pretty cool. It looks like it's got little places to hook a handle as well, but I haven't done that. And then there's this one, which is really simple. This one looks more Middle Eastern. This one has more of an Asian influence to it. Then this is another little incense burner. Simple, made in India. There you go. As you can tell, I like brass things. So this is a brass bell. It has a beautiful ring to it. I like to use this to clear spaces before I start doing some magical workings. Then I also have this one, which kind of acts as a singing bowl. I don't think it's designed that way because the bottom isn't completely curved, but has a pretty good resonance to it. So I use that as a bell as well. One of the next things you can find are candle holders that act as crystal holders. Isn't that awesome? This is actually just a fushigi. Tell me if you guys remember these. I got one of these in my stocking when I was like 12 or something, and I still have it around. But yeah, kind of like a crystal ball holder there. And I've got this one, which is a crystal ball holder. I didn't get the crystal ball at the thrift store, but I did get this beautiful stand at the thrift store. And I think what I'm gonna do to protect my crystal ball from the pointy points here is I'm gonna make little wax dots out of beeswax to place on the top so that it's just gonna get a little bit of wax on the ball and it won't actually dig into the crystal itself. Now getting into candle holder type things. This one is good for putting a dish underneath because there's a little candle in there, so you can heat up whatever you have inside of your dish. So I'm gonna use that as an essential oil burner as well. So I make candles and I have a lot of candle holders, and this is my favorite style of all time. If you want me to explain my favorite style further, I can do a whole video about different types of candle holders and the pros and cons to each of them. But I love these. And you can find them at recycling stores sometimes. So if you go to recycle aluminum cans or something like that, you can always check their brass section. Sometimes you'll find like vintage teapots, candle holders, all sorts of weird things. So that's where I picked up some of these. Those are another two. This one doesn't have a little handle on it, but I love the little feet. I don't know, there's something kind of Halloweenish about that. Speaking of Halloweenish, my next two things are both cauldrons. So this is the one that I use for doing like banishing spells. So, I'll write something on a piece of paper and burn it over this one because it's a large enough diameter to catch all of the ashes. This one, on the other hand, I will also do with smoke cleanses in. I've been using this actually at my farmer's market display for my candles, and people like it. I always wonder what's going on with it, but I also have these crystals, and people always ask to buy them. I'm like, no, I'm selling candles, man. But anyway, got both of those at thrift stores as well. Neither of them have lids, but in general, I don't really need a lid for my cauldron. Another thing that's really easy to find at thrift stores are little spell bottles. So these two, I had to find corks to match, and this one I haven't found a cork for yet. But this one has a little hole on the top, And I'm thinking of putting a charged salt in this, and then I can sprinkle it around my house that way. Since there's only the one hole, not too much salt will come out, so I won't have to sweep up a whole bunch of salt every week. Another little thing I found was this mirror. Lovely. Oh, once again with the brass, but it's very ornate. I love how this looks. This is great for, once again, banishing, mirroring energies away from you. Okay, this is the last brass thing I have, and it's this little paper clip. It's a little unicorn, and this is actually gifted to me by my mom, but I found it on eBay originally, so keep your eyes peeled for cool stuff like that. Now keep in mind, I found these things over years of searching at thrift stores, so this isn't something you would expect to find every time you go to a thrift store. But I did find this booklet on fairies, which I was able to cut each of the pages out. So now I can use them individually for when I'm trying to connect with a certain plant energy. So I can kind of have that as a representation of that on my altar. I also found, this wasn't a thrift store, but this was a like an estate sale, the classic Ryder weight tarot deck. Now this is super lucky. It came with a box, which was pretty shredded. I used this for my morning pulls, which was really funny, but you know, it's like 50 cents, totally worth it. So now I have a bonus section for you, which is going to be the crafty, witchcrafty things that I've made out of different thrifted items. So the first two things I have are these pendulums. So I love to find different pieces of jewelry at the thrift store that I really like, and I just piece them together with like jewelry pliers. I did buy this rose quartz online, but this top part was from another piece of jewelry I had when I grew up, and then this cord I know is sterling. So having that information kind of adds to the magic of it for me. Gosh, that door is creaky. I'm in my trailer right now. I'm in the middle of renovating it, so I'll have to oil those. Anyway, pendulums. Another thing I made are runes. So these were some glass globs that I had gotten from my mother. She had a whole bunch of them. And then I just used Sharpie on the front of them to make all of the different symbols. But something that I'm in the process of doing now, I got a Dremel. So I'm actually dremeling the runes into the glass themselves. So that's going to take a while, but it ends up looking really cool once it's done. And then you can feel the texture, and I could even ink a different color in there if I wanted to. Now this is a little project you can do, but I got this little tiny piece of lace that I made into a little pouch that I can put whatever crystal I'm currently wanting to wear in the morning into. I need to get a better cord for this. This is just whatever, like cotton cord. But this is nice to wear underneath your clothes if you're needing to like bring in a certain energy into your life for a certain day. So that's great for that. The reason I like using lace instead of like a macrame version is because the lace is tighter knit, and I always have a fear with a macrame necklace that my stones are just gonna pop out of them. So this is a way to be sure that's not gonna happen. Now, another thing that I found was this bag. Now this bag, it used to be really long. It was like for gifting wine, but I loved the pattern on it. So I turned it into two different drawstring pouches. The other drawstring pouch, this is my magic drawstring pouch. The other drawstring pouch I have is used for my D&D dice, which I have a full bag this size of. But yeah, so it was kind of a 2 bags for the price of 1 type thing. Okay, the next thing I made. Now this is a pretty big one. I made this one recently, but it's an eye mask. So this eyeball represents my third eye awakening at nighttime. So I have a little crystal inside of there. It's an amethyst to help me see, you know, my third eye to awaken. But I made this eye mask out of silk that I had gotten from the thrift store. It was a silk shirt. And I dyed it with avocado dye, which turned out pretty well. And the insulation, or the batting on the inside of here is actually just an old wool blanket that I cut a chunk out of. And the pattern I used for this was the Tilly and the Buttons Sleep Eye Mask pattern, and it's a free printable, so I'll link it down below, and it fits perfectly. I do have to be kind of finagly around the nose to make sure I don't get light coming in there, but I loved embroidering this eye on the top. It was so fun. I used a whole bunch of seed beads and costume jewelry that I had collected over the years because I've been into making jewelry for a long time. But it was so satisfying. And then I put a little amethyst behind that, in between the eye mask itself and the patch on the front of it. So that will allow me to open my third eye while I'm sleeping. So I really like how that one turned out. If you guys want a video of how to make something like this, leave a comment because it was a really fun process. I'd love to share it. And the last thrifted flip, I suppose, is this, a mannequin hand that I turned into a ring holder. So, her hand is so lovely and thin, it can fit all of my rings on it, which is really great. But I painted it black and then I did little symbols, you know, like palmistry symbols on the hand. And the base of it was originally from a mirror that, it was like a stand-up mirror that would spin around. But anyway, I painted that black and I screwed up into her hand from the bottom so that it would stay at a good angle. But that was a pretty involved project and it took me a long time to find each of the items to actually make that. But I'm so happy I have it now. She sits on my altar most of the time. Because one of the ways I do like to use magic is through enchanting my jewelry, mainly my rings. So there you have it. Those are the things I've thrifted for my witchy practice over the years. Thanks so much for watching and I hope you have a great day. Bye.